I'm sure we're all somewhat familiar with art. I mean, it's everywhere we go, really. Some may enjoy looking at beautiful art pieces, others might enjoy learning about art history, and some might be artists themselves. And I feel like a lot of artists will agree with me when I say, when people find out I'm an artist, they usually ask me if I can draw them. And well, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. In fact, there's nothing wrong with it at all. But they usually expect a hyper-realistic portrait of themselves. And when that's not what they receive, they're a bit disappointed. And that's where they're a bit wrong, because art isn't meant to capture what we already see in real life. It's meant to capture life and emotion in a drawing. And artists are supposed to add their own twist to it to make it unique. Which brings me to my next point, which is how every single brushstroke matters in a painting. Every line with a pencil, pen, or any tool of choice carries technique and meaning, intention. Even an accidental line can completely transform a painting into something the artist didn't even expect to make. And that's something not a lot of people understand. A lot of people just view art as a visually appealing piece and don't look further. The perfect example of this is the criticism surrounding modern art. When people usually think of modern art, they think of simple shapes, simple patterns, and colors on a canvas. And they think it's meaningless, that it lacks technique, and it's something they could easily recreate, that even a child could do. But they couldn't be more wrong. Because nobody can recreate emotion, and nobody can recreate the time an artist put into that drawing, hoping that somebody would be willing to sit down and look and absorb it. Every artist expresses their emotions differently. And to some, it might be picking up a paintbrush and making something that feels very relevant to how they're feeling. And a lot of people miss that. Art comes in very different forms. It's music, it's sculpture, it's literature, it's theater. All of them are very different, yet equally important to each other, and they all took a lot of time to progress. And now, I'd like to show you some examples of how every single brushstroke matters. The first example is a drawing from 1980 by Adeth Shiel. And it starts off as a drawing of a very old man and somehow turned into a drawing of a very youthful-looking woman. Now, how did Adeth Shiel manage to do this? It's by adding lines to it, by adding strokes, one followed by another. It managed to form itself into something completely different. Because if you look really closely, the composition of the drawing is the same, yet they look very noticeably different. The next drawing is by Gustav Klimt. And it follows a similar pattern in the first one. Well, by adding strokes to it, by adding lines, they all combine. They add depth, they add emotion to a piece, they add beauty. It's more appealing. I think all of you will agree with me when I say the second drawing looks much better, much meaningful. The woman looks mysterious, she looks unique. And that's what every brushstroke is capable of doing. All of these examples follow the same road. The next example is made by me, and it's the exact same concept, how artists are managed to completely transform their drawings by adding lines, because they all form into one singular piece. Art is very dear to me. I've been drawing ever since I was a kid. Ever since I learned how to pick up a pencil, I've been drawing ever since and trying to improve. And it is very important to me for people to understand the true meaning of art and how significant every brushstroke could be. Thank you for your time.